Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Combat Conversations, and I'm your boy AG, aka the Combat Connoisseur, and I'm joined as always by my man DB. What's going on, baby?
What's going on, AG?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm gonna do it a little backwards this episode today, man. I did want to say thank you to all the listeners, thank you to all the subscribers. I know I usually say these things at the end of the episode, but you know, I just got to show the love and appreciation that we've been getting throughout the promotional game. So again, got to start it off with a big thank you for all the supporters on that Combat Conversations. It's not going unnoticed. So
oh no, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
We appreciate everything you guys are doing. We appreciate the likes, comments, subscriptions,
all that.
Everything.
That's exactly what we're doing. Share it. Like I said, we on all the links, all Apple Podcasts. It's on Combat Conversations, all that. Facebook, look us up. So we appreciate
Getting
that.
bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So I told you, I gotta say this, man, just because I've been thinking about it for like the last day and a half. That movie, American Underdog, was one hell of a movie, man. I just been thinking about it, and I know it came out came out on Christmas Day. So it's been obviously going on 2 months now.
It's been out for a minute.
Now that's another topic. I haven't been to the movie theater in, my goodness. Like, I'm serious. I mean, Love got the home theater now, so I don't need that theater experience because I brought it to me. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm working with 155 inches. I ain't trying to brag or nothing like that. A man bragging on the size of his inches just ain't good for his look. You know what I'm saying? So whether we talking other things or whether we talking televisions, you know what I'm saying? This ain't a dick measuring contest. But your boy over here working with 155 inches. But it ain't no AMC theater, if you know what I mean.
I mean, hey, I ain't gonna lie. I've been to the movie theater once. That was on December
since COVID.
20th.
And okay, I'm going since, and you know what's funny?
That was just to see the new Spider-Man movie.
Okay, so since COVID, I haven't been.
Not once.
Not once. And actually, even before that, like I said, it's just, the
hell of a
overall
lot
theater
cheaper,
experience.
bro.
So a lot of things just going on that has kept me from going. And then, with the streaming and all that. So, but I love it because of the sports movies and everything. And like I said, man, American Underdog, if y'all haven't watched it, check it out. Everybody knows about Kurt Warner and whatnot, but just the story, forget the story, forget the guy. It's a great movie. Good acting, good pacing.
My man went from bagging groceries
to
being one of the greatest of all time.
So if we're gonna bring all that into the combat conversation world, Francis, look at his story.
Homeless at like 9 years old, I believe. I mean, when he was a kid, he was working in salt mines. I mean, bro, when I was 9 years old, bro, I'm playing PlayStation and all that other bullshit.
Oh yeah, so that just goes to show you, everybody's different. Don't put yourself in somebody's shoes. So, full episode today. Boxing, MMA, what happened last week, what's about to happen upcoming weeks. It's banging right now. So Combat Conversations is definitely getting off 2022 to a big roll, like we said. So a few things we want to talk about. UFC 271, we'll get into that whole card. John Ryder, Daniel Jacobs, Matchroom had a card. P. Diddy always putting on worthy shows. My man P. Diddy, Then always Canelo Saga stories. Y'all know how that goes. Another episode, I believe. We might actually have to start tracking this. This is like season 2, episode 5 or something like that. So the Canelo Saga, Lomachenko, Kambosos. I don't think it's pen to paper yet, but it's close.
Kambosos hasn't signed his part of the deal yet.
Oh, he hasn't? Okay, so we'll talk about that. And then, of course, we got Bellator coming up. AJ McKee back in action coming soon. I think about 2 episodes back, I even kind of asked when AJ McKee's coming back. And obviously neither one of us had an answer at that moment. So we got an answer now. And that's just more to get that ball 2022 rolling. I appreciate where we going with this. A lot of content.
I know you ain't too happy right now with the WBC.
Well, nah, we'll talk about that too. Tyson Fury and stuff like that. So kick it off. Brand new episode, Combat Conversations. UFC 271 post-fight. Izzy versus Bobby Knuckles with a stacked card. So where do we begin with this one? My man Bobby Green, first fight. Let's get into that one first.
I was getting ready to say that. Let's just go ahead and talk about your new favorite fighter, Bobby Green.
Well, yeah, definitely. You know how we like to live in the moment and whatnot, and it's kind of right now. Bobby Green's he's among my favorite. You know, I love me some Sugar Show. You know, there's a few other ones in there.
And just so y'all know, a lot of boxers can take note from Bobby Green.
Take note. Go ahead, explain.
Take fucking note. 10 days, short notice fight. While a lot of y'all motherfuckers want to wait 6, 7, 8, 9,
sometimes 12 plus months.
12 plus months
in a fight that he went the distance in a tough fight. You know, that was no. We've seen it before. Guy gets knocked out 10, 15 seconds. There's no work. Yeah, he could fight tomorrow if he wanted to, but it was a tough fight.
Fight. 10 days later,
man,
fighting a top contender in the 155-pound division. And a lot of y'all motherfuckers want to wait anywhere from 6 to 12 plus months.
An Islam coming out of Khabib's stable. Now, Bobby Green, his striking, that's what he's a striker. We talked about that. We always say, everybody knows, combat fans knows, styles make fights. Okay? Now, there's a few things that make things good when you have the same style than when you have opposite styles. It's intriguing based off of what they bring and how good each one is at their respective game. Now we know Bobby Green is a striker. He wants to stay on his feet. He wants to dance around the ring with you to actually make a hands fight out of it, throw some leg kicks or whatnot. But then on the flip side of that coin, you have Islam, whose ground game being coached by Khabib is immaculate. So my question to you would be, is Bobby Green better at striking than Islam is at the wrestling game, or vice versa?
I mean, just because Islam's strong suit is the ground game in wrestling, I mean, doesn't mean his striking isn't just as good, or if not better, than Bobby Green's.
Now you talking about a complete overall better fighter.
I mean, because
you could absolutely be right.
Because I mean, you know, if you go back and you look at the Khabib fight against Conor, you know, people thought Conor was the better striker, and Khabib surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I mean, just because his strong suit is the ground game in wrestling, that doesn't mean that Bobby Green is that much better of a striker. It just means that he sees holes in Bobby Green's game. He's fantastic in the stand-up, but he might have a couple holes when it comes to that ground game.
Yeah, but you know, I guess just essentially the point I'm getting at is that, you know, regardless how we slice the pie, Bobby Green's strength is his striking, and then not to your point, Islam is a fantastic striker, might even be a better striker than Bobby Green. But if you're analyzing Islam and even maybe even Khabib with his style, they known for the ground game. It's just that vastly superior to everybody else's ground game that the striking gets overlooked, even though it is very good. So Bobby Green's gonna have his fucking hands full, not 10 days later, from a pay-per-view UFC onto a fight night, fighting a prime contender. Shout out to Bobby Green, current favorite. I'm fucking with Bobby Green right now. He's got a fan in me.
No, like I said, a lot of boxers can take note from Bobby Green.
A lot of fighters in general. Boxers,
honestly, no.
I give you that one. But I will say, to his own sport, it's speaking volumes to his own sport. I mean, I get you want to say the crossover as in like, hey, you know, boxing, you could do this too, because y'all seem to be a little bit worse than we are. But Bobby Green speaking volumes in his own sport. Hey, an MMA fighter who says it's too soon, I don't want to hear that excuse. Somebody in your own respective sport did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anxious to see how he performs. So, but UFC 271 was stacked. So who did we have after that? The elbows. Oh my gosh, that's what all I remember about UFC 271 was the elbows.
Bro, Derek Brunson's head bounced off the canvas like a fucking basketball.
Now, I guess that don't count as them 12-6s because that's the only ones I kind of get a little loosey confused on.
No, like 12-6, it's just straight. Like if he went like this, that's a disqualification. But I mean, he's
gotcha. Okay, I see the form, like the more forward. It's like a punch with the elbow as opposed to the 12 to 6 o'clock motion. So that's one main key I remember because then it was a shoey. Now, I had Derek Lewis. I had the Beast.
We both had Derek Lewis.
I mean, I'm not mad it was a shoey.
No. But, you know, I think we can now comfortably say that Derek Lewis is a gatekeeper.
No doubt. Yeah. Certified. Stamp him. Give him his card.
Because it's not just the fact that he has back-to-back L's. Because he's got back-to-back L's in his hometown.
Ooh. That's got to be fresh on their minds. Yeah.
Because you got picked apart by Ciryl Gane. And then you get knocked out where you dead-ass look like Deontay Wilder. I mean, bro, he just dropped. He just dropped.
I mean, hey, who else? Did Street Jesus just dropped? I mean, there's a handful of others that they dropped like a sack of nickels and they lay. Nate Robinson. I mean, there's a few of them. You think about it for a second.
Yeah.
So,
but no, you know, last time
early nomination for knockout of the year so far. I mean, I'm sure that we are gonna see some fantastic ones throughout the year. But early candidate, Shuey.
But no, Ty, when I looked at the rankings, I believe Ty moved up to number 3.
For what, as far as heavyweights go?
Yeah, as far as heavyweights go.
Okay. So who would be the top 2? Francis and...
No, Francis is the champ.
Well, okay.
Ciryl Gane is at number 1.
Still?
Yeah, still.
I mean... Yeah, I mean, depending on how UFC wants to do the rankings, I guess that, again, the UFC rankings ain't really... Dana White's going to put on the fights he wants to put on anyway. So it doesn't matter, but I guess Gane deserves to still be that number 1. He's proven that he may be a step ahead of everybody else, but still below Francis.
And then I think number 2 is Stipe.
Okay, yeah, so it's all starting to make sense. Now, main event. My man Izzy. Was he as dominant as he should have been? I hear some murmurs. Bobby Knuckles won that fight.
I mean, like I told you that night, I think Izzy won 3-1, but it was a close 3-1. Because one could argue that heading into the 5th, it was 2-2. Because outside of round 1, nobody really dominated Izzy nor Bobby Knuckles. So, like, from rounds 2 to 5, one could argue those were swing rounds.
Yeah, and if you recognize as an objective scorer, no matter who you like, if you recognize that could have been a swing round, then you can't be surprised at all. Because here's the odd thing about it. What if there's 4 out of the 5 rounds, 4 swing rounds, just as you alluded to, boxing sometimes more, and y'all completely go in the opposite direction 100% of the time. Then you got the 118, 110 for one guy, and then 118, 110 for the other guy, and it's like, well, yeah, every round was a swing round, but, you know, so it's just odd like that. So, but I'm just saying, I was hearing them murmurs that Bobby Knuckles won that, and I couldn't agree with that. I think Izzy had done just enough. Again, we talk about it too. You got to go in there and take it from the champ. You know, the champ kind of gets a home field advantage type of thing. Just to me, I think judges, we've seen it too many times. That's just why we're saying it.
I mean,
we're not just making shit up.
It's not just MMA, it's boxing too.
Yeah, no
I
shit.
mean,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
if you fight it don't matter if you fight a John Jones, a Canelo. If it's a close fight and it goes to the judges, more than likely the champ's gonna get the nod.
Yeah. And you know, the disparity goes on all levels too. AKA Showbox. Showbox had a card. First fight had a draw. Everybody's clamoring that the other guy won. Like that, no, not that the other guy won, it was a draw. The point is, everybody else is saying that there was a clear, distinct winner. But there wasn't. So, but yet that was a prospect fight. So that's the point I'm getting at. It happens on all levels, world championship and the bottom.
Well, like the other thing you were also kind of pissed off about was the announcers were favoring Taylor. I think that's who it was. Was that the first fight?
I believe so.
And you know, they're like, no, like this was his coming out party. He's here to stay. And even you alluded to, like, okay, let's say he got the win, even if it was by a close decision, slim margin. It to be a coming out party, to be like, that's not a coming out.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. Because to me, a coming out party is exactly what you're saying. You leave no doubt who just won that match. You had a coming out party. Because guess what? Everybody's going to go talk about it after the fight. Hey, did y'all see that guy? Did y'all see Taylor? Like, but nah, there will be none of that because he didn't come out. And there's no party. And he can cry if he wants to. So, that whole UFC weekend was great. Now, we got some upcoming UFC fight nights. Keep us definitely on the MMA track. Bellator coming up next weekend. The Bellator's getting up there. Now, they really start kicking off around March and April when AJ McKeon start getting in, but
he needs to fight more.
Who's that?
AJ McKeon.
Oh, yeah. But I think maybe the negotiations were trying to be worked out with Pitbull, because I'm glad we getting a run back. I don't think there was even talk of it until all of a sudden it got announced.
No.
You know?
Well, I mean, if you go back to that fight, I mean, AJ, he handled Pitbull. I ain't gonna say he dominated, but he handled him. So the fact that Pitbull gets a chance to run it back, that's good.
So obviously we know about the fight night next weekend with Islam. Just talked about it. Next big UFC event, UFC 272, Colby Covington versus Street Jesus. Two trash talking motherfuckers. It's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, it is gonna be a banger.
Certified banger already. You know, bragging rights on the line. So that'll be the next time we see UFC.
Hey, it's not just bragging rights though. I mean, I believe Colby Covington is 1-2 in his last 3, and Masvidal, he's taking back-to-back L's.
Back-to-back. So is he not defending his BMF belt? I guess not. So shout out to UFC. Can't wait till that next card. So on to the boxing scene. Last week, Matchroom and P. Diddy putting on a good card with Daniel Jacobs and John Ryder. Okay, nice little young prospect to look out for on that card. Ammo Williams put his, again, just look good, tough opponent. Just look out for him, just not really too much to discuss on him because he just overpowering his opponents right now. He's a good prospect that's just waiting on that big fight. Too much risk, low reward for a big guy to fight him. So again, he's just got to wait his turn. But Ammo Williams is a good fighter. Look out for him. But on to just a quick main event for Matchroom. Daniel Jacobs, John Ryder. John Ryder got the dub. Controversial dub. We're going to talk about that a lot. Controversies when it comes to these judges on both sides of sports. But everybody's thinking Daniel Jacobs won the fight. So real quick, how do you feel about, let me give you an example. Got 12-round fight. One fighter wins the first 6 rounds. Not dominantly, but, if you score in the rounds, that's it. 10-9.
Swing rounds?
6. Yeah, swing rounds, but yes, at the moment, a guy's cruising. Okay, just nothing spectacular. You're not like jaw dropped or anything. You was never on the edge of your seat. A guy's just kind of cruising to victory. 6-0, 6 rounds, 10-9, 6 rounds. Then all of a sudden, the next 6 rounds, the other guy starts winning rounds, but he's really winning rounds. His punches seem to be doing a little bit more damage. You're on the edge of your seat. Your eyebrows start going up because you're looking at good quality fighting at the moment.
Okay.
And then the other guy wins the 6 rounds. And now you have somewhat of a draw on the scorecards, but you know the other guy just, the second half of the fight was just that much better. Which way do you lean?
So, like, for example, would you say Teofimo Lopez and Loma?
Somewhat. You know, because Teo early on, winning rounds, maybe not so dominant, but then I guess when Loma won his late rounds, it's like, okay, Loma's getting back into the fight. He's really winning these rounds. But that's where the scoring system in these 10-9s just need to change. Because it don't speak to nothing.
Based off that, I would say the guy who won the 6 rounds convincingly should be the dude who wins the fight. Because if you're winning those 6 rounds convincingly, that's 6 rounds for you. And then you have a couple swing rounds that can go your way. So either way, you're going to get the decision on the cards.
Yes. And I think a lot of outside think Daniel Jacobs got robbed because he won more rounds per se. But again, clearly the rounds that John Ryder won, and I had it scored on my card. If I'm just going by who won the round, I gave it also 7-5 to Jacobs. But those 5 rounds John Ryder won, he just was really putting a whipping on him them 5 rounds. Whereas Daniel Jacobs was just a little bit more active and John Ryder kind of let off the gas. But when he stepped on the gas, so I'm with the decision. Even though I had it 7-5, I'm not mad at it. You can't say it's a robbery because my man held his own in the rounds he won. He looked good.
Yep. I mean, that's pretty much there's all to it.
That's it. So, you know, I'm putting it. John Ryder's supposed to be next for Canelo, I believe. That was a eliminator at super middleweight. So, but again, we'll get into the Canelo saga here in a bit. Next weekend is really a fight we want to talk about. Ahmir Khan and Kell Brook. Ahmir Khan and Kell Brook, 8 years too late.
I mean,
shout out to
is
boxing.
it better late than never?
I guess. I mean, we getting it. We're excited. We're anticipating it. So I guess it's better late than never.
So before we get into this, let me ask you real quick. Is Boxer going to put on Spence and Crawford?
In this case, 2029. When
would you still want to watch it?
When Crawford's 39 years old? Yeah, I will still want to watch it. But again, just because I want to watch it don't mean that I want to watch Ahmir Khan and Kell Brook tomorrow. That better late than never, so I guess you're right. I still want to watch it even though we wanted to see it
probably like 8 years earlier.
2014, right around that time. That could have been the battle for the union belt. Tyson Fury and Dylan White fighting for this new belt. This nonsensical belt we'll get into. So, but let's stay on Ahmir Khan and Kell Brook. Who you picking and why?
Well, I'm going to use your favorite word. I think Khan's going to win because he's working with arguably pound for pound the best fighter on the planet, Terrence Bud Crawford. And we've seen it too many times. Boxing, MMA. Like, help me out with it. How do you say residual?
Them residuals.
Exactly.
Them residuals.
We've seen it too many times. Time and time again. And hey, I just think Khan's had the better camp. I think he has the experience. Because if I'm not mistaken, even though it wasn't pretty and he got knocked the fuck out, he did go against Canelo.
Yep.
You know, and I know he got knocked the fuck out, but anytime you step in the ring with someone like that, that's experience that you gain. So
it was a learning experience.
It was an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
According to Canelo.
It was an ass whooping.
Ass whooping, but
he got disciplined, but he learned from it, you know. It's like
yeah.
it's like the strap.
I just think, I'm going with Khan.
Yeah, for the same reasons, obviously, that I'll be going with Khan too. Kell Brook, apparently he's got bad fucking eyes. I mean, I don't know if are they any worse than Errol Spence's eye? Because if so, I don't want to hear the excuses. But apparently, Kell Brook's eyes are sensitive. It's like once Khan starts working that jab, starts landing some punches, Khan's eyes are going to swell up. Probably won't be able to see as good. Vision will get a little blurry.
That's all she wrote.
And that'll be all she wrote. So, it's just a fight that we're excited to see just based off the names, but not necessarily based off of past performances. That's literally how this fight is going to go.
I mean, neither of us are expecting anything huge.
I ain't expecting fireworks. No. It's just a fight that I'll be interested in seeing. So, I have Ahmir Khan.
I have Ahmir Khan decision.
Knockout in the 7th round.
I got him by decision.
Decision. I got knockout 7th round. That's my prediction. Okay, so we'll ride with that. Now, I think a little bit. I can't say it's gonna be a better of a fight, but it's definitely a more fighter I want to see because is he a duck or is he a duck? And Jaime Mungia is fighting Ballard, who is a mandatory for 2 belts right now. He's a mando for Boo Boo, and he's a mando for Triple G, and won't accept either one of those.
If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, I mean, is it a duck?
I mean, hey, 2 + 2 = 4. So it's I'm anxious to see him, but again, it's not who we want to see, and he's in the driver's seat to take down either one of those guys. He can put them in a corner, but again, like we talk about with Spence and Bud, it's like your wordplay matters. The boxing game and combat sports, a lot to do with your stock has to do with your mouth, aka Conor McGregor. One could argue his stock was higher than it should have been. Not saying he wasn't a beast by any means, but it just shows you what's going on there. He was not.
You got to learn how to sell fights.
Conor McGregor's not on GSP's level. Conor McGregor's not on Bones Jones level. If you ask me, he's been, the last couple fights have proved it, okay? Now,
he's a one-dimensional
again,
fighter.
just to swing it, even take a couple steps back, like I'm saying, your mouth will dictate your stock a lot of the times. If your stock's rising, your mouth can boost that up. Jaime Mungia doesn't bring that. He's not in the ring calling for these guys. He's not, boo-boo, where you at? Triple G, they won't, I'm the mandatory and they start. None of that. He's just quietly not fighting them.
Duck. That's just it.
And that's why you're going to have people consistently call him a duck. Is because of that reason. And I believe I've brought it up on past episodes. We don't know what's going on. And here's a prime example how we don't know what's going on. Mike Coppinger and others on ESPN, shout out to Mike Coppinger, he's reporting that the Canelo and stuff with the Bivol and Triple G that we're going to get into is basically signed. And Canelo's tweeted 2 and 3 times. Nothing is confirmed until I say it. So it's like he's letting us know that even news that we're receiving from ESPN and Mike Coppinger
is not always reliable.
It's not necessarily true.
It's not always reliable.
I mean, to a certain extent, I wouldn't use reliable, but I get what you're saying, but it's not true about the Bivol and Triple G fight. It's just that they're pushing it a little early. So I'll take the reliability on the news being close, but like you said, the actual truth of it, they want to jump the gun. Okay, so you do. Back to the point. We don't know what's going on, and if you claim you do,
you're full of shit.
You're full of shit. Okay, so if you don't know what's going on, can we hear it from you, the fighter, Jaime Mungia? Let's hear it from you. What's going on? How come the fight ain't getting made? But then all of a sudden he wants to dance around it. How about, like, as much as I don't think he's as good as a lot of people may point him out to be, like Boo Boo. He's last fight against Quigley. He's in the ring. I'm calling them out. Where they at? Triple G, where y'all at? Charlo, where y'all at? He might be the one why it's not happening, but we will never know. And his fans and other base see that he's at least calling them out on camera, on the microphone.
At least making the effort.
Making the effort, so it doesn't seem like it's on him. Now the ball is in their court. So that's just another good weekend that we have coming up. So let's just go ahead and jump into it, because we'll kind of all conversate on the same thing. Let's officially start the Canelo Saga series. What's next for Canelo? Would you rather see the deal with PBC with Charlo and Benavidez, who's now in the mix? Or would you rather see the Bivol Triple G offer from Matchroom and P. Diddy?
I'm taking the Matchroom deal. You know,
as a fan, you taking the Matchroom deal, or as Canelo, are you taking the Matchroom deal?
As a fan.
As a fan, okay.
As a fan.
Okay.
I mean, the way I look at it is, and you know, as crazy as it sounds, there are people out there who really believe in their heart of hearts that Canelo is ducking Charlo.
Yeah.
Like,
but
there are people out there.
Charlo's ducking Canelo by getting in trouble. As back-to-back shits he's been in with the law, and people actually think he's doing this shit so he don't have to fight Canelo. I mean, you got people out there thinking that shit, just like you said. The audacity of these people and the shit that they think is crazy.
But anyways, you know, if I'm Canelo, I mean, it's basically the same deal. You're just getting a little bit more money with PBC than you are with Matchroom.
And I think
out of the two,
Eddie Hearn bumped it up. I heard it's both close to the same now.
Out of the two fight deals, really there's only one fight to be had out of both of them. With the PBC deal, really the only fight fans want to see is Canelo and Benavidez.
Correct.
And then in Matchroom, as much as we love Triple G, I mean, you probably want to see it. I know you made a tweet about it. You know, you still think Triple G might take him to deep waters.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the only fight to be had out of that deal was against Bivol. So really, it's you're getting the same deal. It's just who you want to fight.
Touche. So I think, you know, to that same thing, Charlo would be a little bit easier of a task. If I'm ranking all four, I think Charlo would be the easiest of the four. Okay, so you roll over Charlo, then you face a tough David Benavidez, who has a very similar style to Canelo. But I think Canelo would prevail because of his ring IQ. David Benavidez has no head movement, no footwork. He's just a come straight forward kind of guy. Him and Beterbiev, same way. Come straight forward, hands up. I'ma fight you. Straight up. So I think Canelo's style is similar to that too, but his boxing IQ is just so vastly superior. I think he gets through Benavidez. Now, on the flip side of that, with the Matchroom one, to me, Bivol would be the toughest of all the four, because Bivol is a naturally bigger guy, 175, and even more so than that, but it's his style. Bivol's footwork is very good. Bivol's jab is very strong. He kind of reminds me of a similar style of a Triple G. Not saying he was as good, but again, stiff, tough jab, offense, very good. So I think Bivol would ultimately be his toughest test of them all. And then I think Triple G, hey, I'll eat crow if I'm wrong, but I think Triple G still got a lot of gas left in that tank. It might run out quick. You know how I was at Max Kellerman. I know you would know about this one. The cliff. Okay, we know about the cliff. That's just it. Because Max Kellerman was riding that with Tom Brady. And that's why he came up with this cliff analogy, is because he thought Tom Brady was going to fall off, but he hadn't seen it yet. So he was saying, oh, when it happens, it's going to happen overnight. On a Saturday, he's going to be good, and on Sunday, all of a sudden, that's it. Old man father time has kicked in. We know it don't happen like that.
No.
Now, everybody understands that, so their argument is against Sergey. They say Triple G looked like shit. Arguably might even lost that fight. So they'll tell you that he's gradually going downhill. But again, I still think Triple G handled that fight. I don't think it was very bad. But yet, 2 of his last 3 fights, he got the knockout like he should. So I still think Triple G has gas left in the tank. I really do. And I think he'll take Canelo to deep waters. Will Canelo beat him more convincingly in the 3rd fight, potentially if he fights Bivol, than he did in the first 2, which he arguably lost? Sure. But again, I'm hearing slander that Triple G is just going to be slaughtered. That's it. He's just another cherry pick for Canelo. And I completely disagree with that take.
No, I definitely agree. Because, I mean, like I said, I think the deal with Matchroom, not just financially, but as far as opponents go, I think that's better for Canelo. If we're talking about legacy.
I agree, because like we just said, we understand what Bivol and Triple G bring compared to what Charlo and Benavidez bring. But the fight against Benavidez would probably be the most popular of all the fights. Maybe the most exciting, because that would be a barn burner, whereas Bivol and Triple G are going to try to outbox him.
I mean, either name's good to have on the resume.
Yeah. But if he fights Bivol,
I guess it's just, what's your preference? Do you want to see him slug it out with Benavidez, or do you want to see a technical chess match with Bivol?
I just asked you that same question, and so if you're asking me in turn, I'd rather see Bivol and Triple G. I would. But if he fights Bivol, I would actually be pulling for Bivol. I like Bivol. I just like his style. I like him. I mean, nothing against Canelo. Do I think Canelo would win? Yes. Who do I like? I like Bivol. But the only reason I would want Canelo to win that fight is so I could hear him say it one more time.
Golovkin.
Golovkin.
You're next, my friend.
You're next, my friend. I want to hear it. That's it. That'd be the only reason I would take him over Bivol. Outside of that, I would like to see Bivol take down the king of boxing. I'd be pulling for it.
I think what's going to happen is if he fights Bivol, it's not going to be a walk in the park for Canelo.
Shit, no.
It's going to be a close fight, and kind of like what we talked about earlier in fights like that, usually A-side champ, what do you want to call it, they're going to get the nod on the scorecards.
Especially Canelo.
We've
talked about that in the past, in previous episodes.
So I feel like it's going to be close, and with a fight like that, and kind of bounce back off what Izzy said, in a fight like that, you can't just do enough. You got to go out and take it.
Especially from Canelo.
Especially from Canelo. So, I think ultimately...
Triple G didn't even do enough to take it.
Exactly. So, I think ultimately, in a close fight, it's going to go to Canelo.
Agreed. That's why I would be pulling for Bivol to really separate himself and do something that nobody would see coming. Drop everybody's jaw. That's it. Everybody would just be dumbfounded, confused.
So let me ask you this. Is Canelo protecting that one?
Protected. Yeah, I guess so. His one is as valuable as an O right now. Because
I mean, if you look at it, we're sitting here talking about, you have to dominate Canelo, whether if you like it or fucking not, whether if you want to say Floyd ran or whatever, he fucking dominated Canelo.
Yeah. And you know, Canelo, like right now, like we talked about, as far as legacy goes, in this case we talking about Floyd, so it is what it is, I guess. But there's no shame in losing. And in this case, him losing to Floyd, there's really no shame. You know, so my thing is all the greatest fighters of all time, among everybody's list, just Ali, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, Sugar Ray. It don't matter.
Not Tyson Fury.
Not Tyson Fury. Not Floyd. Not Rocky Marciano. Handful of fighters that don't. But even then, the majority of them do. And we still rank them among the all-time greats. And these guys are just scared to duke that out. So I'd be pulling for Canelo to take the Bivol Triple G deal.
Same.
That's what I want as a fan. And I think Canelo, you know, we just explained why either one can be, you know, motivating as a reason why to pick that one. But ultimately, if Canelo's thinking like a fan or thinking like us and he wants legacy, he's going to go for Bivol Triple G. So now another not necessarily ink to paper deal, but it's almost, you may as well take it for what it is. My man, George Kambosos versus your man, Vasily Lomachenko.
Man, that's
we got another barn burner. Again, that lightweight division is just fire right now.
it's popping.
It is. So this fight, why not Devin Haney, man? Why not Devin Haney? Why are we not clearing up this WBC bullshit? It's getting on my nerves, man. It's getting on my nerves.
I mean, I'm hearing it's about that bag.
I kind of hear it's about that bag too. It's always about the fucking bag, man. It's always about the dollars and shit. Look, man, it's tough sitting in our position to talk about shit like that because, yeah, we would also want the most money. I get that. But my thing is, you know, when you're talking about being the greatest and you're talking about legacy, if you need to create a better legacy taking $2 million as opposed to $4 million, suck it up. We're not talking about minimum wage here. We're not talking about you struggling. I get it. Everybody would rather $4 million than $2 million. No shit. But if you're gonna ask me as a man, when it comes to something that I'm passionate about, and it comes to legacy and being considered the greatest to ever do something, and you're gonna offer me still that massive amount of money, these guys let this money get in the way. They really do. Promoters and stuff too, man. It ain't just the fighters. Don't mean to blame just them. It's the promoters and the managers behind the scene too. They fucking money hungry in these deals and shit, and these television deals. It's everybody thrown together. But ultimately, just me bitching and shit, I want Devin Haney to clean up this shit with Kambosos on this franchise belt. The way to do away with one of them, WBC, keep the franchise belt. Do away with the regular. Do away with, I don't give a fuck. Fans don't either. Something's got to be done. WBA is doing it. Getting rid of the regular and the super. Now the thing is they're probably not going to use those two words anymore, regular and super. So that'll be nice. The WBC's got to get rid of this franchise shit. It's silly.
I mean, they just made a union belt.
We talked about that. Hopefully that's just a one-off belt that the winner of Fury and White are going to get that can't be defended or something. That's it. It's just a trophy to hang on the wall. If that's it, then cool. I'm fine with that. But if it's going to be a belt that it can't be. Maybe he can only defend it if he's fighting another fighter from the UK. Hey, you know, unlike the BMF belt where Street Jesus would have to fight another guy who would maybe be considered a bad motherfucker. So, you know, all that. But back to Lomachenko and George Kambosos. George looks like he is determined, man. He's on a...
Yeah, but I think
he's putting in that work.
I mean, yeah, of course he's putting in the work. Have you not seen the videos? Yeah, he's putting in the work.
I follow with my man. Dude, I fucks with the Emperor.
He
destroyed Tio, who by the way, I do want to point that out. I did want to say that. Last episode, we was piling on Tio. I will say we didn't know the reason. We actually specifically stated that Kambosos ruined his mind and his career. And as much as it jokingly we say that, and I'm glad he whooped that ass and fucked him up, there's other reasons behind Tio's mental breakdown right now. And I did want to say that we meant no malicious harm and that we apologize on my behalf, at least. You know, I'm not speaking for my man's DB over here. He can here in a second if he wants. But when you got shit like that going on and you got other people in your life doing purposeful things to hurt you, you know, I can't pile on that because that's not your fault. But if you want to talk about, you know, the takeover and you lost, I'm gonna be all on your ass, dog. But outside of that, yeah.
Cool. Wait, was it confirmed he had other shit going on?
Yeah. He posted it, man. It had something to do with his newborn. You know, he just had a baby. You know, and even then, you know, Kambosos and them after the fight, you know, Kambosos told him. He said, "You got a newborn, man. It's not even about that. Go be with your son. Go be with your family." And then apparently, you know, with him and, you know, I don't even know whether to call. I think even on an Instagram post, I could be wrong, he used the term baby mama. You know, I don't know if it's his wife, fiance, girlfriend, or whatever. But the father, the mother of his child is apparently not vibing with him right now. So again, I'm not gonna pile on to that. I'm gonna wait till you get back in the ring, and then I'm gonna jump ship again and get back on that ass. But until then, I'll lay off Tio.
Okay.
So, but
yeah, that sounds about fair. Yeah, it's
yeah, and that's
a tough situation.
Yeah, so
but no, like I was saying, you know, you're talking about how the Emperor looks determined. Bro, I think Loma has more to lose. Because we kind of talked about it, I think it was 2 episodes ago, when we're talking about AJ going against Usyk. And it's like, hey, if he loses to Usyk, I mean, AJ, he's a gatekeeper. A damn good one, but he's a gatekeeper.
Right.
I'm looking at Loma like that. Because as great as he looked against Nakatani and Comey, and none of that matters. You lost to Tio. I get it. I've said many times I think he won that fight, but at the end of the day, you have an L. If you take another L to Kambosos,
yeah, I agree with you. So I'm with you on that. Okay, I'm with you on that. So on the flip side of that, if George Kambosos loses to Loma, then you might start hearing the talk about that win over Tio was a fluke. And that the Tio respiration illness afterwards excuse is just valid. And that all of a sudden it's George Kambosos is back to square one maybe. But he'll probably get more shots, work his way back up. I get it. So 2 fighters who have everything to lose. I'm going Loma. Split decision. I mean, it's early as shit. The fight ain't, like we said, I don't even think pen to paper is even announced.
No,
but
hasn't.
If it does, I'm favoring Loma. But that's another fight that I like Kambosos. Just me personally. I want him to take down your man. That's it. Loma needs his gatekeeper card. And George the Emperor needs to reign even longer.
I think Loma wins by decision. UD.
I did hear some murmurs. You know, I might start using that word a little bit. The murmurs. Because, you know, motherfuckers be talking and shit all on social media. You know what I'm saying? All in the videos, all in the interviews. Whatever. Come to combat conversations. So, that Loma's on a mission. And he might actually stop Kambosos. Because, again, there are those who think Kambosos' win over Tio wasn't necessarily a fluke, but no matter, even if he beat him, Kambosos is still not on the level of a Loma. And they think Loma being on a mission on top of that is just going to make it even worse for Kambosos, and they're going to stop him. But we would both be predicting decisions. I know I would.
Nah, I don't really agree with that because, well, first of all, I think you're taking away from Kambosos just a little bit because, like, even if he loses to Loma, that doesn't take away from his win against Tio because I felt that he methodically beat Tio down. You know, it's not, at no point did I ever say, yeah, I think Tio might have edged that. No, I felt that for the most part,
I do too.
Kambosos won that fight.
Yeah, and then even in the late rounds, I think 10, when Tio dropped Kambosos came right back, fired back, won the next round. Showed that knockdown didn't phase him.
Right.
Yeah, Kambosos won that, just like you said, methodically, beat down, definitively, took him out. And I believe the way he won spoke volumes to his level. And it wasn't a fluke.
It's not like he Buster Douglas Tio. Like, no, he methodically beat him down. Like, he showed he was the superior boxer that night.
Yeah, and to me, it was good enough to show that he's the superior boxer on any given night. Now, a lot will be on the line against Loma. I'm anxious for that one. That's another big one. That's why we're bringing it up. Even though no pen to pad yet, still, it's a fight that's definitely going to get talked about the moment it gets made official. Last, I want to talk about a sad note. Castaño out against Jermell Charlo. Hope Castaño gets better, hope he's bicep or whatever. But now Tim Zhu is saying he wants to fight Charlo. No. Tim Zhu wants to fight Castaño because he's his mandatory. And then now you got Bud saying if he don't get Spence and Yuga's winner, he's moving up to 154 to fight the winner of Jermell Charlo and Castaño. So we got a lot brewing from 147 to 154. Then anything 160 and above is basically the Canelo Saga until you get to heavyweight, and then it's the Tyson Fury series.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in the world of combat conversations right now. There's plenty to talk about. MMA, boxing. We got Knuckle Mania coming up this weekend. Bare Knuckle. We don't forget about it. It's just we waiting on them big moments to really talk about it. Triad Combat 2 got canceled, pushed back because of COVID. More nonsense with this COVID stuff, but that's another argument. Again, we all on top of all combat conversations. So lastly, like I said at the beginning of the show, I want to thank everybody for listening. Please like, subscribe, get on Facebook, /Combat Conversations. Hit us up. Simplecast.com /Combat Conversations has the link to all of them. Apple, we even on YouTube now, so check us out at Combat Conversations at YouTube. So
any and all feedback is deeply appreciated.
No doubt. So we appreciate everything y'all do for listening. I've been joined by my man DB. Appreciate you for always being my partner in crime, dog.
Hey, honestly, AG, I really appreciate it. I do. I fucks with you.
You fucks with me?
I fucks
with you, dog. Now we fucking with the fans. Combat Conversations. Hit us up. We out. Peace.